Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel and the Catechism for Kids. Back with me again, Joseph, your host. Today we're going to journey back in time to the 1600s in England to meet a man whose story is one of incredible courage and faith in the face of terrible injustice. His name is Blessed Edward Coleman, and his feast day is on December 3rd. Now you might think a future Catholic martyr would have grown up in a big Catholic family, right? Well, that's the first surprise in Edward's story. He was born in 1636 into a very strict Puritan household. His own father was a vicar, a Protestant minister. But as a young man studying at Cambridge University, Edward felt a deep pull towards the Catholic faith. Against all expectations, he converted, a decision that would change the entire course of his life. Edward was described as charming and smart, but maybe a little too idealistic for his own good. One friend said he was a man who must run himself into the briars, meaning he was bound to get into trouble. He even looked distinctive, with a very pale face from fasting, which stood out because he always wore a black wig. His faith was everything to him. He became so well known for his devotion that he got a job right at the heart of the royal court, became the secretary to Mary of Modena, the Catholic wife of James, Duke of York. Now, James was the brother of the king, Charles II, and was next in line for the throne. Being a Catholic in such a high-profile position was a very big deal, and a very dangerous one. You see, this was a time of great tension in England. There were harsh laws against Catholics. It's called the penal laws. Catholics couldn't hold public office, they couldn't vote, and they were often viewed with deep suspicion. Imagine not being allowed to practice your faith openly, always afraid that your neighbors, or even the government might be watching you. That was the reality for Catholics in England. Edward Coleman longed for this to change. He dreamed of a country where everyone, including Catholics, could have religious freedom. He believed that if he could just get the right people to listen, he could help end these unfair laws. So, he started writing letters. He wrote to officials in France, including the confessor to King Louis XIV, hoping to get their support and maybe even some money to influence the English Parliament. Now, was this a good idea? Looking back, it was incredibly risky and naive. He was going behind the government's back, and his letters were full of passionate, sometimes careless language about his hopes for the Catholic faith to triumph in England. His letters weren't treasonous. He never plotted to harm the king or overthrow the government. He just wanted tolerance. But in a time of paranoia, these secret letters were like a ticking time bomb. And then, in 1678, that bomb exploded. A man named Titus Oates appeared on the scene. Oates was a total liar, a known perjurer, invented a massive, completely fake conspiracy theory that he called the Popish Plot. He claimed that Catholics were secretly planning to assassinate King Charles II and put his Catholic brother James on the throne. It was all a lie, a fabrication designed to stir up hatred and fear. And who was the perfect target for this lie? Edward Coleman. Titus Oates knew about Edward's job at court and his foreign letters. He claimed those letters were proof of the plot. Panic swept across England. Anti-Catholic hysteria was everywhere. A warrant was issued for Edward's arrest. When officials came to his house, they were told to search his papers thoroughly. They found a box of his old letters. Edward was shocked. He had written them years ago and had seemingly forgotten how incriminating they might look. For weeks, he even denied writing them, maybe not realizing the terrible danger he was in. His trial was a complete sham. It took place in November 1678. The judge, Chief Justice William Scroggs, was completely biased. He was a firm believer in the Popish Plot and was determined to get a conviction. He even told the jury that Edward's own papers were enough to condemn him. The prosecution presented the letters as proof of treason. Titus Oates told his outrageous lies in court. Edward tried to defend himself. He could have said that he was only acting on orders from his boss, the Duke of York, but he hesitated. Maybe he was trying to protect the Duke, or maybe he was still hoping for a last-minute pardon. His defense was weak and confusing. The judge mockingly said he had a swimming way of melting words. The jury, following the judge's clear instructions, found him guilty of high treason. The verdict was a foregone conclusion. There was no real evidence, just the lies of Titus Oates and letters that were misunderstood and twisted. Edward Coleman was condemned to death. On December 3, 1678, he was taken to Tyburn, the site of public executions in London. This was a man who could have saved himself. He could have renounced his faith. He could have lied, but he didn't. Standing before the crowd with his life about to be taken, he remained calm and courageous. He declared his complete innocence of any plot against the king, and he professed his Catholic faith, peaceful and steadfast to the very end. His execution was the first of many based on the lies of the Popish Plot. The whole affair was a dark stain on English history, a period of madness fueled by bigotry and fear. So why do we remember Edward Coleman today? The Church honors him as a martyr. A martyr is someone who dies for their faith, a witness to the truth. Edward was beatified by Pope Pius XI in 1929, which is why we call him Blessed Edward Coleman. His story teaches us something so important, especially for today. It teaches us about the power of truth and integrity. Edward lived in a world filled with lies, but he refused to become a liar himself. He stood for what he believed was right, even when it cost him everything. His story also shows us that courage isn't always about fighting with swords or winning big battles. Sometimes the greatest courage is standing peacefully and firmly for your faith and for the truth. Even when the whole world is screaming that you are wrong, Blessed Edward Coleman chose faith over fear and truth over lies. He is a powerful reminder that we are all called to be brave and faithful, no matter how difficult it may seem. Thank you so much for joining me to learn about the incredible life of Blessed Edward Coleman. If you found this story inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories of the saints. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and healthy as usual. See you next time, and God bless you always.